Breaking news inside the fandom space. One theory continues to spark debate, emotion, and endless conversation among Jikook fans. It is the idea that Jimin and Jungkook may have already married in secret. The claim itself is not new, and it is not supported by facts or official statements. Yet, year after year, the story survives, grows, and finds new believers, not because fans are trying to prove something, but because the narrative itself feels emotionally satisfying. From the outside, the theory sounds extreme. Two global superstars living under constant media attention, allegedly choosing a private marriage without a single confirmation. Rationally, fans know this is unlikely. Many openly admit it is pure imagination. Still, the theory remains one of the most discussed and emotionally charged fantasies in the Jikook fandom, especially among fans in the United States who engage deeply with storytelling and emotional interpretation. The reason this theory exists is not one specific moment, clip, or interaction. It is built on something far more subtle: consistency. Since their early years, Jimin and Jungkook have shown a closeness that appears steady rather than dramatic. Their bond does not rely on loud gestures or constant fan service. Instead, fans describe it as calm, familiar, and emotionally grounded. Over time, this pattern becomes the foundation for a story fans continue to tell themselves. What makes this theory controversial is not the fantasy itself, but how real the emotions behind it feel. Fans are not pointing to rings, documents, or announcements. They are pointing to behavior, the way they naturally gravitate toward each other in group settings, the comfort they seem to share during stressful moments, the ease in their body language, as if closeness requires no effort at all. None of these moments prove anything, but together they form a narrative that feels believable within the emotional logic of fandom. For many fans, the theory is not about marriage in a literal sense. Marriage becomes a symbol rather than a legal concept. It represents commitment, loyalty, emotional safety, and choosing one person consistently over time. In that sense, imagining Jimin and Jungkook as secretly married is simply a way to explain why their bond appears unchanged despite fame, pressure, and years of scrutiny. This is where the fantasy gains power. In an industry where relationships are often managed, hidden, or denied, the idea of a quiet, protected bond feels almost rebellious. Fans imagine a version of love that exists beyond public approval. No press conference, no explanation, just two people deciding that what they share is enough, even if the world never knows. Critics often argue that this kind of narrative crosses boundaries. They worry it turns real people into fictional characters and encourages invasive thinking. Many fans, however, respond by clearly separating fantasy from reality. Within fandom spaces, the theory is discussed as a story, not a demand. Fans are not asking Jimin or Jungkook to confirm anything. They are not organizing campaigns or insisting others believe it. Instead, they are sharing an emotional interpretation that helps them connect to the bond they see. The controversy also reveals how fans interact with silence. Neither Jimin nor Jungkook has ever addressed such theories directly. That silence is not proof, but it becomes part of the narrative fabric. Fans read meaning into what remains unsaid, not because they believe it must be true, but because silence allows imagination to exist without contradiction. In that space, the story stays alive. Another reason this theory resonates is timing. As the members pursue individual activities and face periods of separation, fans look for emotional continuity. When Jimin and Jungkook still appear emotionally aligned despite changing schedules and responsibilities, fans interpret that as intentional connection. The fantasy of a secret marriage becomes a way to make sense of emotional stability in an unstable environment. Within US fandom culture, there's also a strong appreciation for chosen family and private relationships. Many fans relate personally to the idea that not all meaningful commitments need public validation. This cultural context makes the theory feel less shocking and more symbolic. it becomes less about idols and more about values fans admire. Importantly, many fans who enjoy this theory do not believe it literally happened. They consume it the same way people consume romance fiction. It offers comfort, warmth, and a sense of emotional order. In fan edits and stories, the imagined marriage is rarely dramatic. It is depicted as quiet mornings, shared routines, and mutual understanding. That softness is a key reason why the theory feels safe rather than aggressive. The more the theory is criticized, the more fans emphasize its emotional purpose. They clarify that it is not about denying reality, but about exploring a feeling. In a way, the controversy forces fans to define their boundaries more clearly. They insist on respect for Jimin and Jungkook as individuals, while still allowing themselves creative space. This ongoing debate also reveals a larger truth about fandom. Fans are not passive consumers. They actively construct narratives to process emotion, attachment, and admiration. The secret marriage theory is one of the most extreme examples of this, but it follows the same logic as many other fan interpretations. It is storytelling rooted in observation, imagination, and emotional need. As long as Jimin and Jungkook continue to display a bond that feels consistent and emotionally rich, fans will continue to create stories around it. The theory survives not because people believe it must be true, but because it feels meaningful. It offers a vision of love that is quiet, chosen, and protected, an idea many fans find comforting in a loud and demanding world. The discussion continues to evolve, shaped by new content, changing contexts, and shifting fan perspectives. Some fans move away from the theory over time, while others return to it during moments of uncertainty. What remains constant is the emotional pull of the story itself, and the way it allows fans to imagine a connection that exists beyond cameras, beyond statements, and beyond proof. In the end, the theory of a secret marriage between Jimin and Jungkook stands not as a claim, but as a reflection of how deeply fans connect to the bond they observe. It is controversial because it pushes imagination to its furthest point, yet it remains popular because it speaks to something emotional rather than factual. Fans are not searching for documents, confirmations, or public acknowledgement. They are engaging with a feeling, the idea that two people can quietly choose each other, protect their connection, and move through life without needing the world's permission. This fantasy endures because it offers a sense of calm in an industry defined by noise. It imagines stability where everything else feels temporary. It reframes silence as intimacy and consistency as commitment. For many fans, that story feels reassuring, even healing. It allows them to believe that genuine emotional bonds can exist under pressure, survive time, and remain unchanged by fame. At the same time, the ongoing debate reminds the fandom of the importance of balance. Enjoying a narrative does not mean confusing it with reality. Appreciating a bond does not require ownership over it. Most fans who engage with this theory understand that line clearly. They return to the story not to prove anything, but to feel something familiar and safe. As the years pass, the theory may evolve, fade, or transform into something new, but its existence already tells a powerful story about fandom itself, about how fans use imagination to interpret connection, express affection, and find meaning beyond official narratives. Whether believed, questioned, or simply observed, the secret marriage theory remains one of the most emotionally revealing conversations within the Jikook fandom. If you're a Jikook fan, ask yourself what this story represents to you. Is it about romance, privacy, loyalty, or emotional safety? Share your perspective in the comments, join the conversation respectfully, and let others know how you interpret the bond between Jimin and Jungkook. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of fandom's most controversial theories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next discussion.